Hi, welcome back. This course is a continuation of web designing course which you have previously seen. So what's a web designing and all, you might have already seen it. So I'll be using an online ID called ripple.it. So you can use any of your online IDs. So some of them are, you can even use text editor for your local, that is Sublime Text Editor. So you can go to this website and you can download it. If not, you can use other online IDs also. One of it is codepen.io. For all this, you can just sign up or log in if you have already an account, and you can have you can start doing the codes, and you can start doing the practice. Apart from that, you also have something called JS Fiddle. This is also an online ID which is for free. So if you see here, you have a HTML, JavaScript and CSS files separately, and you can find the results here. When you go to CodePen, this is your HTML part, this is your CSS, this is your JavaScript, and this is where you get your view or output. So here you can change it. So you can maximize the editor, you can do any other changes that you require. So I'll just go with Ripple. I'll just log in. So if you log in, you have an option called new ripple where you can create your own ripples. As you can see here, I have already created some. So just click on new ripple and you can select your languages. Since we are in the basics, so we will be going with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. You can name it anything. And just click on create ripple. So this is your index.html, script.js and style.css files, and this is a place you can see your output, and if you just click this, it will be opening it in your new tab, and this is where you can see the output for consoles which we require, and we are looking into JavaScript. So initially, if you just look at it, you will get a normal basic layout. If you see, the first line indicates your browser that you are working on latest version of the HTML. So here your latest version of your HTML would be HTML5. So we will be working and looking around the HTML5 tags and other elements. So the first line informs your browser that you are using HTML5 coding, tags or elements. Second line is the starting and closing of HTML. So in HTML you have something called tags. There are three different types of tags. One is open and tag which has open and close. If you see, this has an opening and this has an closing. And there is a tag which has no opening and no closing. If you see, this is the open and you don't have a close tag for this. And there are other tags which has opening and closing in the same line or a same tag. So if you consider the seventh line, you can see that it doesn't have two different tags. It has only one tag which has both opening and closing in it. So when you go to a third line, it is head. So inside HTML you have two different parts. One is head and one is body. So head is nothing but it contains all the data related to your website that gets showcased. If you see here, you can see the Sublime text, some text getting displayed. This is your header. So it comes under title. Inside head, you will be having it inside the title. and you have other meta tags and links also. So if you see the fourth one, this is the format that we use for encryption and decryption of your website. And the fifth line informs the browser that you are developing or designing a responsive website. So where your width is equals to the device width. So which means whenever you are opening this page in any device, the width of your page becomes equal to that particular device. Even it may be in horizontal or vertical state, that is landscape or portrait. And the sixth one is title. So if I change this title, I will show you where it gets affected. So let me change it. So if you see this, and I'll just click this, you see I got the changes here, web designing sessions. So this is your title. You can give your title to your page. Next is your seventh line, where you use this line to link your style.css files to your index.html page. So if you see here, you have three properties called href, rel and type. Href is nothing but reference point from where you can get it. Since it is not inside any folder, you will call it directly. And the relation to the file is a style sheet, and what all you have inside that is a text or css properties. And when you come to the body, this is a main part where all your data or all your designing comes, which gets displayed here in this part. So inside body you have another tag called script tag. We use this script tag to call the script.js file into the index.html, so that whatever you write in script.js gets reflected in index.html page. So initially let's start with something called headings. So when you just refresh this, you can see that I have something called heading here. So what I'll do here is I'll just create a file and name it as heading.html, so that you can refer to this page whenever you need it. So I'll just copy this and I'll just paste it here, and I'll just remove this button and I'll change the title to heading, or you can say it like this. So in HTML you have 6 different varieties of heading tags, starting from h1 along to till h6, that is h2, h3, h4, h5, h6. So this is where you can, this is how you can mention your tag headings in your website. So for example, let me show it how it will look. So when you just go to this page and just type heading.html, see, you can see that you have a heading text displayed in different sizes. So if you see this is a bigger larger one, the second larger one, the third, fourth, fifth and sixth. So you can't exceed H6, that is you don't have something called H7 or H8 in HTML5. So these are the basic tags in HTML. Not only in HTML5, in the older versions also you have till H6 only. So this is how your heading works. So what is this and all, I'll explain you, like why you are looking into something called slash in heading.html and all. I'll explain it to you later. So when you come to this folder structure, you have something called index.html, script.js, style.css, and you have other files that we have created recently. So whenever you host a web page in your server or any hosting space, the server looks for a file called index. So it might be of any language. If you are doing it in Java, it should be index.jsp. If you are doing it in JavaScript, it must be index.js. If you are doing it in PHP, it must be index.php. If you are doing it in HTML, it must be index.html. Version might be anything, but your home page should be named as index.index, because the server looks for a file which names with the name as index, so that it displays all the content. Or you can say that your index.html or index page is your home page, which gets displayed to the users whoever visits your URL or a IP address where your website is hosted. So we have seen about something called heading. So there are other tags called paragraph tags. So here again I'll create a button. I'll name this button as paragraph. I'll create a file. And never create your file names with caps or anything or space. Never use space. If at all you are planning to use any spaces, then just use underscore instead of spaces, because the server can't read a space. So again I'll just copy this. So you see that you get this code by hearted. That is, you need to remember the basic code whenever you are writing. So try to write it from the scratch. So here you have something called paragraph tags, which starts with P, and if you wanted to display any data here, so let's take this data. Let's take this data. I'll just copy. I'll just paste it here. When I go here and check for so this is how my paragraph tag looks like and works. So what I'll do is I'll create one heading, and I'll have a paragraph. So why do we need these kind of things? I'll explain you later in the coming sessions. So this is how your paragraph tag works. So apart from the paragraph tags, there are many tags that you have in web designing, that comes for a web designing. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking an individual parts from a website, and I'll be explaining you the element tags and the properties that we are using for that particular section. So first, if at all you see any website, you see you have something called a menu. This is something called menu bar or a menu bar section, and this is your main content section, and this is your footer. So these are the three major parts for any website that you design. So first let's start with your menu. So I'll just create a new file. I'll name it as menu.html. So inside this menu, again I'll copy this, I'll paste it here. I'll just change this to menu. So for your menu you have to create something called as a list. So in HTML we have something called ordered list and unordered list. So first we'll see what is an ordered list. So if you wanted to list any items, or you wanted to mention any points for your packages, or for any things that you wanted to mention with points, you can use ordered list. So inside ordered list you have something called lists. So this is your list, a tag that you use for ordered list, and this is the tag that you use to mention the things inside an ordered list. So let me say box triangle, anything where you can use. So if you see, you got it with a numbering that is starts from 1 2. So this is how your ordered list works. And you have another list called unordered list, whose tags are UL. Again same, inside that you have a list tag. So inside this you can mention anything. So if we consider our menu, so our menu will be having a home page followed by about us, then you have something called so by the end of this session you will be creating your own resume. So we will be creating a menus for that particular things. So it would be education, then it will be experience, then it will be hobbies, then it will be achievements, then it will be contact, how they can contact you. So in other sections, if you'll be defining your explaining your education qualifications here, mentioning your experiences if you have any. If not, you no need to write this. And about your hobbies and about your achievements if there are any, like you participated in any events also. And this is a contact section where they can contact you directly. So if you go here and just reload it, so you can see that you have created your home section. So if you go here, you can see that this has download by support options here. If you go here, if you go here also, you have some different options. So when you come to Ripple, you have other options like run, upgrade or share. So this depends upon the website that you are designing. So this is how your basic menu looks. So this is the just beginning. So HTML is your basic building block for a website, or you can call it as a wireframe. So once you are done with the HTML, we will be using CSS to make it look more beautiful. So since we have done our menu part, there are other things to add. So whenever you are working in HTML, you consider every element to be placed inside a box, so that it is easy to display and easy to maintain. So that box is nothing but you have two different tags. One is section. You can use a section tag, or you can use a div tag, or in HTML5 you have something called nav tag that we generally use for navigations. So navigation is nothing but a menu. So now what I will do is I'll just place this unordered list into this nav bar. But if you see, it doesn't make much difference, because this is just a wireframe. When you add your style.css, when you add your CSS properties, it will change again. So you see, you didn't find any changes here because we haven't mentioned any properties for this particular things. So this is how you create your navigation or section or a menu section. Next is your main. So again, create main.html. Copy everything from index.html and go to main.html. Change it to main. I'll just remove the content. So here also, again, as I said, I can use section, or I can use div. Section is so div is the tag which is present from previous version of HTML also, and section is a latest tag that got added in HTML5. So you can use any of these two tags to mention things inside your main part. So I won't be showing the output because we haven't added anything, so you won't see anything except a plain blank white screen. So next comes your footer. So again, this will be your same. Okay, so I'll just copy this, create a file. I'll say footer.html. Here also we'll be using ordered list or unordered list depending on what we are planning to show in our footer. So we have so far covered how to create files and how to call your styles or scripts into your page, and we need to have an index.html file as a mandatory thing when you host your website in any hosting space. And we also learned what is unordered list, what is ordered list, how many kinds of headings we have, what are a paragraphs, what is a paragraphs, how do we have it, how can we write it. And also in the next session I'll tell you how to use CSS for the elements that we have created so far. Until then, bye.